10:03. So I'm going to start. Alan, if anybody joins later, yes, keep doing that. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you. All right. So before we start about money, I'm going to talk about a way to save some money with our Summer Bridge program. So a couple of years ago, we added Summer Bridge to our options. It is for anybody graduating in the school year, and you can take up to 2 free courses at Castleton over the summer. You can also get paid $300 a month if you also participate in our internship. So it is a wonderful opportunity. You have the choices on the Summer Bridge classes are you could take any 2 classes Castleton's offering during the summer. Just be aware that Castleton summer classes may start in May and you'll still be in school. Or you could take one of our summer classes that happens in the 4-week time period. So you could take either effective speaking from July 5th to I think it's July 28th maybe, or you could take Statistics 1, same time period. Those classes meet every day, every morning for like, I think 3 hours, maybe 2.5, 3 hours. But you would get a college course done in a 4-week time and have that, and it's free. You can only take Castleton courses though, so we can't pay for a course at CCV or NVU or something like that. But Castleton's summer courses, if you want to wait and see what they're going to offer, that should be on the Castleton website in April. When that happens, I'll let you guys know. So if you're interested in taking some college courses this summer for free and earning some money, and I believe our internships are going to be the same kind of format we did last year, internship. It'll be that virtual job shadow website and some roundtables. So you'll have to attend like a roundtable every month, one in June, one in July, and one in August, and do some more work on virtual job shadow, but then we can pay you $300 a month this summer as well for doing that. So, so Jane, I still can't get into SurveyMonkey. So I'm wondering if you could take us, I don't know if you can get in and put the survey link maybe in the chat, and then we can also get it out onto Google Classroom for you guys as well. You need to sign up and let us know if you're interested.
Oh, okay. Sounds good. I'll do that.
Oh, and you'll also get food cards. I forgot. If you participate, you'll also get gift cards for Price Chopper again this summer. Like we're trying to do that instead of the food delivery this summer. So you could also get some, I don't remember how much it is a month, but you get a gift card mailed to you for food as well. So, and the last thing, you don't have to participate in Summer Bridge for this, but I want to let you know another way that Upward Bound can help you save money is that we will buy your first semester textbooks. So normally you've registered for classes, usually sometime in the summer, and then usually by early August, mid-August, your college bookstore, wherever that is, publishes the books that you need for each of your classes. And what some students have been doing is they've been getting all their textbooks, putting it in the shopping cart, and then they call me or Julie or Rachel or Adnan, and we give you our credit card number over the phone. And then you have those books shipped to you either to your college or to your home. The trick is though, you guys have to do it before August 31st, because after August 31st, we can't spend money on you anymore. So we can only spend it up through this summer and August 31st. Another way that students have been doing it is that they've been Zooming with me and they give me all their textbook ISBN numbers, those that number that every textbook has. I put it into my Amazon shopping cart, and then I do it through Amazon, because sometimes it can save money to buy books on Amazon, but it doesn't matter either way. And we'll get you your books, which can save you. I mean, some students, it's like $600-700 for textbooks. So make sure you connect with Rachel, Adnan, Julie, or I before August 31st if you want us to buy textbooks. And then the other announcement I want to let you know is we are hiring a college transition counselor for the summer. This will be somebody who will meet with you once a week or every 2 weeks, and they are going to keep up to date with what is due at your college. So like health forms, immunization records, housing agreements, just all the different things, different tasks you have to keep up and do over the summer that sometimes you can forget, your bill, whatever it might be. There's going to be somebody who is going to either by Zoom or by phone, just check in with you, say, hey, don't forget, next week you have to fill out this form. Your college requires it. So they're going to learn about each of your particular schools wherever you decide to go to. So that will start hopefully at the end of May, because when is decision day, guys? Do you remember? Anyone want to tell us what decision day is?
May 1st.
May 1st, Iris, thank you. That's right. So by May 1st, you should hopefully have made a decision and placed a deposit. If a deposit at your college, I should mention, is too much for your family to handle, you can request a waiver. And if you want a waiver, Jane, Julie, or I, you can contact us and we'll send you a template that you can then send to your school. Because sometimes it's $400 or $500 that they ask for you. And if that's too much for your families, you can waive it. It'll still get paid for out of your financial aid that comes out in the fall, but many colleges will waive that for you, so you don't have to come up with that money out of pocket. It's another way Upward Bound can help you save money. So yeah, so that college transition counselor will send you an email with the person's name and information so that you know who they are. Yeah, and then they'll kind of you can still contact me or Jane or Julie or Rachel or Adnan, but they're going to be the person really staying on top of all those tasks you have to do this summer. So any questions about that? And if you know anybody who's like a college student or recent college grad who's looking for a summer job, you send them Jane's way. All right, no questions about that. So let's talk about college debt. And really today's topic is about how much is too much debt. We want to just make sure that you guys are completely informed before you go on and sign off on loans, that you know exactly what it means for your life after college. One of the tips I try to say is, if you live like a doctor while you're in college, you're going to live like a college student when you're a doctor. So it's about balance, and that's what we want to help you guys find. Number one tip, finish college. There's nothing worse than taking out debt for a year or 2 or 3 and then dropping out and saying, I'm done. You now have debt and you have no degree to help you pay for it. So that's the most important tip for you guys, is to make sure that you stay in college and you finish your degree so that you're not in that kind of situation. Another tip, tip number 2, I probably should have put this on a PowerPoint. Tip number 2 is you should really only borrow for all 4 years of college as much as your career will allow you to earn the first year out of college. So for example, if you're going to major in social work, maybe you want to be a social worker, the average salary in Vermont for somebody starting first job out of college as a social worker is $30,000. So that means you should not borrow more than $30,000 for your entire college education. Another example, let's see. I know there's some students who want to be nurses. The average starting salary for a nurse in Vermont is about $45,000. So then don't borrow more than $45,000. Let's see, engineers. I know some of you want to be engineers or doing something in computer programming. So engineers, In Vermont, average starting salary is about $54,000. So when you're an engineer, something more technical or computer programmer, $75,000 is its starting salary in Vermont. So do you understand that? That's kind of to help you make sure that you're not spending too much. Research what your starting salary might be based on your major, and that's kind of your goalpost, right? You shouldn't go past that. All right, so the other tip number 3, where's my number 3? Many colleges front load your award letter, and that means they give you a whole lot of money first year to get you to come to college. They want you to be there. They want to entice you there. So, you know, they give you all these scholarships, but then sophomore, junior, and senior year, your scholarships cut in half. So when you are making these decisions, you should definitely be calling each of your schools and ask them this question. So write this down, guys. Will this aid package be similar for all 4 years I'm there? So can I expect that these scholarships and these grants will continue at this amount? I can expect at least this amount all 4 years, because you guys got to plan that. You know, it's not fair that they cut people off like that sometimes. So if you're going to plan to be there for 4 years, you want to know, expect, you know, have some expectation about whether those scholarships and grants will continue at that same amount. So write that down. That's a question, because we don't know the answer to that just by looking at your award letters. I know some of you have shared your award letters with Jane and with me. They don't say that on there. So you guys will have to do some digging and either email or make a phone call. Parents, if parents are on the phone, there is something called a PLUS loan. Sometimes it'll be on the award letter. Sometimes it's not, but parents can take a PLUS loan. It's a parent loan, though. Your student does not owe it. It is your debt. So be aware of that. But it's the lowest interest rate if you are planning to take out a loan for your student. It's the lowest interest rate you can get. You can't get a better rate from a bank. You can basically borrow the difference between how much the school costs and how much money the college gave your student. So if there's a gap of $10,000, you can borrow a maximum of $10,000. But we're going to talk again about more of these. I just wanted to make sure you guys know about it. There are private loans available too. VSAC offers some private loans to students, and where students can have a co-signer. So if parents, if you want the loan to be your student's responsibility or mostly your student's responsibility, you can also do a private loan like through VSAC. That'd be better than a bank rate, and have be a co-signer for your student. Scholarships. So who applied for the VSAC scholarships? Did anybody get those into the deadline? You can just either raise your hand. Yay, Iris. Awesome. Abby, great. Free money is the best money. So applying for those scholarships. There are other scholarships out there. So in the back of the VSAC book, there are gray highlighted pages, the back of the VSAC scholarship book. And that's available online too if you don't have a physical copy. There are other scholarships that might have due dates of April or May or June. So there's still time for those of you, if you missed the earlier deadline, you can still write some scholarships. There's also a Stephen Phillips Memorial Scholarship. And I think, Jane, you made me a co-host, so I think I can share my screen. This is unfortunately for our New Yorkers. This scholarship is only for people living in New England, but there are a lot of Vermonters on this phone call, so I'm going to share it. So if you guys write down this website right here, phillips-scholarship.org. This scholarship, we've had many students get it, and they basically, their purpose is to reduce student loan debt. So they will, if you get awarded, they'll basically give you enough money so that you don't have to even borrow any money at all, or you only have to borrow a little bit of money for college. But you do have to meet some pretty high benchmarks. So this is definitely for students who are probably close to A students. I'm going to go to how do I apply because I think they'll tell you eligibility. You also have to you have to meet financial eligibility. So there's a little, you and your parents check out between how much college costs and how much the school gave you. So if that's a significant amount, even if your family makes pretty good income, you still might be eligible. So definitely do the financial eligibility. But here are the criteria to apply. So this one is 3.0 or higher, demanding course of study, so a rigorous course of study, which you all are doing, demonstrate skilled writing, which you guys have done through your applications, but this application has about 4 essays where they will determine your eligibility. Here's about your EFC. So in general, if your estimated family contribution is less than 10,000, you're probably low to moderate parent adjusted gross income, probably financially eligible. And they also want you to demonstrate these things as well. So all that volunteer work you did with Upward Bound counts towards this. If you're doing any other volunteer work, you want to talk about it. And you want to be able to describe where you faced a hardship and how you persevered, how you got through that. What did you do to change your own life and your own circumstances? So if you have a story to tell like that, this is a great scholarship for our Vermonters to pursue. There's an April 1st deadline and a May 1st. So they have a 2-part deadline. April 1st deadline, you send them 2 college award letters that you want them to look at, and they will help you determine which is the better financial aid award. And but you can also wait till May 1st and just send them one of your financial aid. Basically, you send them the financial aid award letter from the school you're most likely to attend or your #1 school. So definitely Vermonters, look at this. It's a great scholarship. And I've had students get anywhere from $5,000 a year renewable. These are also renewable as long as you keep your grades up. I've also had a student get $9,000 a year renewable. And I've had almost every year, a student get this scholarship, one of our students. So they actually look at your application, and if you indicate you're an Upward Bound, they have me fill out additional paperwork on you. So that's the other thing. Please let me know if you're doing this, or Jane, or because there's an additional piece of paperwork we do to recommend you. And they actually give Upward Bound students like extra points that other students who apply don't get. So it's a little partnership we have with them. All right, so now we are going to do a little activity. Some of our students, I sent them something to read ahead of time to you. And we're going to have them start with reading this activity. It's basically describing how your life will be after college based on how much debt you took on to pay for college. So we have a student who's going to read what your life will be like if you borrow 25, what it'll be like if you borrow 50, what about if you borrow 75, 100, and 150. So in between each, we'll just talk about what that might mean. And I'm also, we're going to talk about what kind of a loan payment, right? That's the biggest thing. How much is your loan payment going to be? So I think Gwen is the first, right? So Gwen, take it away.
Okay. Your budget with 25,000 in student loans, 72% of student loan borrowers. While no one wants to pay student loans, 25,000 in education debt is manageable for average professional earning 30,000 to 40,000. Depending on a student's eligibility, most, if not all, of this debt would be in government loans. Based on a 20-year term, installments would be around $150 per month. Looking at consumption data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, it's about the same amount the average household pays in a year for a used car. It's slightly more than 1/10 of the average housing expense.
You're muted, Jen.
Thank you. I need to get that on a t-shirt. You're muted. It's like the slogan of 2020. So if you borrow $25,000, that's basically taking out your federal student loan. So your first year in college, the maximum federal loans you can get as a dependent student is $5,500. Your second year of college, you can get $6,500, and your second and third year $6,500, and then your third year you can borrow $7,500. So basically, if you stay within the $5,500 a year, 50, or just take out those loans, 5,500, 65, 65, 75, about $25,000. That's manageable. And how much is a used car payment generally? Does anyone have a guess? Know how much in general, basic used car payment?
A couple hundred.
Couple hundred.
250?
250. So yeah, a couple hundred to maybe maximum 250 a month that you'll be paying. Does anyone know how many years you have to pay off federal student loans? Any guesses? What the term of a student loan is? How long it lasts? All right, no guesses? Nobody wants to guess?
20 years, because isn't that what Gwen read?
Yes, she did. Based on it, it would be 150. Yes, thank you, Alan. But in general, so that's why it's about 250. In general, you have 10 years to pay off your student loan. You can get an extension to 15 and sometimes 20 years in a pinch, or if you're having some serious financial troubles. But it is generally 10 years is that the automatic term goes to 10 years unless you change it. So it said based on a 20-year loan, you'd have about 150. So based on a 10-year loan, you're probably paying $250 a month. All right. So $250 a month is still manageable. Like you can still buy groceries. You can still probably, you know, if you're that, say that social worker making $30,000, it'll be tight, but you can handle it. You can budget it in and you can make it work for yourself. All right, next let's talk about 50,000. So who had 50,000?
I did.
All right, Alan.
Your budget with $50,000 in student loans, which is 16.5% of borrowers. This is where graduates really start to feel the burden of student loans. Monthly payments are around $450, largely because private loans are necessary above $31,000 in tuition costs. It would be a tight budget for someone earning between $40,000 and $50,000 a year. Student loans would be a large portion of the budget. You'd be paying about as much for loan payments as you would for food. Food is usually the third largest category in a household's budget. Your monthly loan repayment would be about a third of what you are paying in housing costs. Also, Jen, I wanted to say this earlier, but I don't like to interrupt. Also, apparently for the class of 2021, CCV is offering one free class also.
Oh, this summer?
I think, yeah, this summer, but I think also for like fall also.
Nice. I hadn't heard that, Alan. Thank you. Oh my gosh, everybody should do that. Nice. So now we're borrowing $50,000, a $450 payment. That's a really nice car payment right there that you're paying for. I think it said it's a third of your housing budget. So while you could probably handle it if you're you're doing one of those nursing or engineering jobs, if you got a degree in social work or maybe a teacher, this could be really, really tight for you to borrow that much money. And take up a lot of your, forget about having fun, right? You'd be really focusing on paying your loans off. If you find yourself in this situation, though, I just want you to know that, again, you can renegotiate your term, right? You could ask to pay over 15 years. You should be able to do that with your lender. There are also ways to pause your payments if you have a significant financial circumstance where you could ask for forbearance. Basically, they'll stop your payments for like 6 months to give you a chance to get on your feet. You also do have a grace period, just so you guys all know. Once you leave college and you've got your degree, you have about 6 months before loan payments start. So you also have a little time period to find a job. So they won't start immediately. So keep that in mind as well. All right, let's hear from whoever had 75,000. That's Iris, I think.
Yeah. So your budget was $75,000 in student loans, which is about 6% of borrowers. The average college graduate would probably need to move back in with mom and dad at this point. It's either that or find lots of roommates. You would likely be paying about $750 per month in student loans. The average graduate with a 4-year degree earns about $43,000. At this income level, your loan payment would be your second largest expense next to housing, and would be close to what you were spending in food and transportation combined. You would need to take drastic action to make loan payments, probably by foregoing any retirement savings and cutting back on entertainment. Even so, you might not be able to find ways to make ends meet. Someone earning around $60,000 could probably afford this payment more comfortably.
Okay, so now things are getting really serious. When you borrow $75,000, mom and dad, make sure you don't change the room around, because you might need to let somebody move back in if they borrow that much money. That is a hefty loan payment, and seriously, it is going to affect your quality of life after college. So again, this is about, living like a college student when you're a doctor. So at this point. All right, who has $100,000 to read?
I do.
Oh,
Oh,
I think,
wait, no.
William, I'm going to have you do 150. How's that?
Okay, no problem.
All right.
Okay, so your budget with $100,000 in student loan, almost 2.5% of borrowers. If you're taking out $100,000 in loans, you'd better be a doctor or remodeling your old bedroom at your parents' house or mom and dad's dime. Monthly loan payments would be up around $1,075 and could easily eat up at least half of the average graduate take-home pay. At this point, you are essentially making a second rent or mortgage payment each month. While you may have a place to live, you have no money for other important things like food, transportation, and clothing. Since it's a choice between paying loans or rent, a student payment are not optional. And you're definitely headed back to mom and dad. Keep in mind, the shortest loan term is 10 years, which means you're going to be 32 before moving out. You need to earn between $80,000 and $90,000 to afford this payment comfortably.
So raise your hand if you want to live with mom and dad till you're 32. I don't see any hands. Mom and dad, do you want to have anybody living with you till they're 32? No. Mom and dad want to retire someday. So $100,000 is definitely, like, if you're going to medical school, you're going to law school, maybe a specialized engineering degree, like some, crazy, aeronautical engineering, I don't know. Those are the types of degrees that can sustain a payment like that. But being a teacher or a social worker or criminal justice or history major, taking out that much money in loans is going to cripple you for a very long time financially. this is kind of where we've gotten in the student loan crisis, where students are taking on this much debt and they're postponing things like getting married, having children, buying a house, being able to buy a car. All those things are now happening later in people's lives because of student loans. And you guys don't want to be in this situation. It's very difficult. We're actually going to watch a movie in a second, a short film. It's about 20 minutes long, of a real person talking about this situation. All right, last one is William. William, you've got $150,000 one.
Yes. Your budget with 150,000 in student loan, almost 2% of borrowers. Even a third job likely wouldn't be enough to ease the burden of the average graduate who'd pass 150,000 in student loan. Monthly payments would be around
It's 1,700. There's an extra zero. I don't know why.
yeah, okay, 1,700, or most of your take-home pay. You'd easily need a six-figure salary to fit this expense into your budget. The bottom line, easy access to student loans is a good thing. Most people need to take on debt if they're going to graduate and reach their full career potential. However, the ability of student loans is a double-edged sword, as many borrowers take on debt levels that far exceed the reality of future starting salaries. If you are borrowing or plan on borrowing for college, make sure you've thought long and hard about how much you can borrow based on a reasonable starting salary. It's that or pray your parents don't change the locks.
Thank you, William. That's right. All right. So I also want to talk about solutions. So what could be some ways that you guys could lower the amount you need to borrow? So think up for a second. What are some ways? And you can either pop it in your idea in the chat, or you can just unmute yourself. But what are some ways that you might be able to lower your student debt?
Job.
Get a job. Was that Iris?
Yeah.
Yes. So definitely you guys have an opportunity this summer to make some, and even before, if you're working right now during school, to make some money and start putting some money away. So definitely a job is a good idea. And if you can't work while you're in school, then at least this summer, make sure you have a job. Alan wrote grants. Yes. So when you applied for your FAFSA, your VSAC, or your TAP grants, those are all grants, and grants don't have to be paid back. So we like grants. Other ideas for lowering student loan debt?
Abby
I
said
put it. Oh,
scholarships.
sorry. I put it in the chat, but I don't know if you saw it. I said scholarships and work study.
Thank you, Abby. I missed it. Scholarships and work study. So that's why it's really important to keep looking for scholarships, keep applying for scholarships right now. Super important. And work study. So Abby, do you want to explain what work study is, or would you like me to explain that?
Will you explain it, please? Thanks.
Sure. Yes. So work study is another federal program. So each of your colleges gets a certain amount of money from the federal government to give out to students attending that school and work study. You cannot get the money unless you apply. So it's going to show up on your award letter. Some of you might have already seen like work study, $1,500 or $3,000. Unlike your grants and scholarships, which automatically hit your account the day classes start, work study, you will not be able to access that money unless you find a job on campus. So the summer, the college transition counselor this summer, that's one of the things they're going to work with you is how does your college advertise work study jobs? Where do you find them? Because some colleges, they open it up during the summer that you can apply for the fall. So you have to apply, you have to find the job, and then you have to fit it into your schedule. And then that money gets paid to you just like a paycheck. So it doesn't go to your account doesn't like hit your college bill. It actually comes to you either weekly or bi-weekly as a paycheck. So it's a way to offset personal expenses as you're going through college. So that's like, shampoo and your pizza and, those kinds of things. That's what it helps to pay for. Going out to the movies, if we ever open a movie theater again, those kinds of expenses. So great idea, Abby. Any other ideas on how to lower student loan debt?
There was a question in there and it's about saving before students even go to college. So how much should students try to save before their family contribution is affected?
Okay, so we're talking now nitty gritty FAFSA details. So the FAFSA is income driven primarily. They do ask some questions about savings and student savings and parent savings. I don't have a magic number, Nate, to give you, but I will let you know that the EFC is mostly targeted by income and less so by wealth. And then Alan said, my family contribution went up over because of my savings being around. It couldn't have been that, Alan. So we can look at that, but $1,000 in savings is not going to negatively impact your EFC that much.
No, yeah, that's why we were confused about it, because it didn't make sense for it to go up that much. It was like originally it was like 5,000 or something like that, and then it went up to that just because of my savings, and it's like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, thank you, Nate. So Nate put something, student income, right, up to 60, but now student income will affect the FAFSA, right? So if you are currently working right now, that is unfortunately going to affect your EFC, but student savings should not affect your EFC that much, Alan. So we might need to look at that and just see if there's an error that went into your FAFSA when you did it. Yeah. Yep.
There's this program that it was at some Castleton upward bound kind of coordination thing through VSEC a couple years ago that we went to, and there was a company there called Brock, BROC, and we signed up to with them, and they kind of double your money somehow. My grandma does it. I don't really understand it quite yet.
Yes. Oh, I'm so glad somebody did that. Oh my gosh, Ira's awesome. So that is the BROC, which is the Bennington Rutland Opportunity Council. So again, this is only for Vermont students, but in New York, there is somebody doing it, and I can help you find who it is. But in our area, it's called an individual development account. And basically it's a match savings. So you're expected to save the student $42 a month over the course of a year, and that will result in about $500 in savings. Once you have $500 saved, Brock will put another $500 into your account. So they double your money. The financial literacy you've been doing through On Track, that counts towards their financial literacy. So you would not have to do their financial literacy program because all I have to do is print your certificate that you completed through us, and you're done. So yes, that's a wonderful program. And what's nice is you can save for your education, and your parents can open a separate account for your education as well. So if your parents can save $42 a month, you'll get another free $500. And if any of you New Yorkers are interested in, we can figure out what community organization in your area has in IDAs and individual development accounts. And that money, Iris, you said, I don't know where that money comes from. It comes from a grant from either the federal government or also the state's government. So in Vermont, you used to be able to get $1,000 for saving $500, but the state of Vermont cut their portion, unfortunately. So now you only double your money. But the New York programs, the New York State could still be doing the extra state match. Great. These are all great suggestions for reducing your student loan debt. Also taking some of you have taken classes through Upward Bound college courses that's going to help save, because that's going to get you maybe save you a semester. If you take the courses this summer that we're offering, that can add to saving you a whole semester at college. And if you can graduate a semester early, I mean, you've just saved, you know, significant amount of money as well. And taking us up on our textbooks, that can help save you money. So all things. Any other ideas before we switch over? And I'm going to show you guys the video, and then we're going to talk about the video. Oh, we might not have time. We might only be able to watch a portion of it because I think we talked too much. I'm going to try to load the video here. Okay. All right, it is a 13-minute video. I think we're gonna be good. And we'll be able to just briefly talk. So I'm gonna share computer sound. All right. Can you guys see that? All right, let's see if you can you hear it?
I hate talking about it. I'm not gonna lie. That's why I didn't even want to do this, because I hate talking about it.
Not really think about the finances. You know, looking back now, seeing state school was so much less. That never crossed my mind. I knew that college was expensive, and, you know, I just thought everybody took out student loans and that's just how you did it, you know, unless you had millionaire parents or something. I think my mom believed, like me, that it was just a process. You know, if you do the right things, if you go to college, you get the good grades, then it should all just kind of work out. So I don't think she really worried about the finances as much. She did make it clear from the beginning that she wouldn't be able to pay for it and that it would be all on me.
I myself didn't go to college, so I didn't have a whole lot of experience with it. And Jesse was the first one out of my kids that was going to college. So I didn't ever really plan on it, I guess.
I went to LaSalle University and I majored in criminal justice. I chose LaSalle because in my mind, it was what college should look like. And this is another reason why I feel like, you know, 18-year-olds shouldn't be allowed to make these huge decisions, you know, on their own totally. Because I just thought it looked like a nice school. It was a small campus setting. I had the ability to kind of be a big fish in a little pond there, which I liked. I just kind of viewed it as, well, I'm going to take out these loans anyway. And at that time, I was working at Wendy's. So if you were telling me $18,000 versus $35,000 a year, it all seemed like, you know, $1 million to me. Growing up, it was just my mom and my two sisters and I. I didn't know my dad. I met him when I was 18, actually. So it was just us 4 girls.
Well, when they were young, I pretty much was in like the restaurant business because I didn't want to put them in daycare and I didn't want to not be there with them during the daytime.
My sister raised her family in our hometown for the first part of Jesse's life, and we did everything together. We spent regular evenings together, birthdays, vacations.
My mom really didn't let us in on how much things cost or, you know, bills. And I think that was a part of her not trying to put that burden of being a single parent and any kind of struggles on us. We shopped at Kmart. She always went to yard sales. So I knew that, you know, saving and being frugal was important, but beyond that, not so much.
Well, the reason I decided, first of all, to not co-sign or take out any loans for her first year was because I wasn't in a comfortable spot with her behaviors at that time. When she was in senior year, She started coming home with different friends, and I was not loving these relationships at all. I just didn't trust her. So that's why she had to call my sister and asked her for the loan, which did make me feel pretty bad. But I said, if you make it through the first year, I have no problem. She was about to go down one path or the other, and I figured that first year was gonna make or break her.
Jessie called me and asked me if I would co-sign a student loan for her. And I loved her very dearly. If you don't help someone that you love, who do you help? I did understand that there was risk in that because I knew that that was going to be tied to my financial history. There was an understanding that it was her responsibility to pay it back.
It was always that it was going to be a loan that was in my name, but Jessie was solely responsible for paying. I said, if you want to go to school, then you're going to pay for it.
I believe my first student loan payment was about $140 or so, which I thought, oh, this isn't bad. And that's because I put them all on the lowest payments possible and put them on deferments and forbearances. So they weren't all quite in repayment. So by the following year, it was already up to like $600. When I was signing for my student loans, I had absolutely no clue what that would mean for me in my current life now. I never even bothered adding up how much it was. I thought, surely I would be able to pay for these loans. They wouldn't set me up for failure, right? The community that my mom lives in now is definitely more of an urban area. It's, not really the safest, cleanest. We're on our way to American Education Services, where I ironically used to work as a loan collector there. It just really opened my eyes as far as what I was going to probably be dealing with myself in the very near future. So it scared me a little bit. At that time, I was just really looking for any kind of income, knowing that I was going to soon have to start paying back my student loans. I think their starting wage at AES was about like $12.50 or so. I had only ever really made minimum wage. I had only made maybe at the most $8 an hour. I talked to a lot of moms that were, they're telling me, I'm not going to pay this. I have kids to feed. And if I have to choose between feeding my kids and the loans, like you're not going to get any payments from me. I discovered through reconsolidating and researching a lot about the student loans that there's this public service loan forgiveness. So that's for government employees, and my mom happens to work for the federal government. After 10 years, if you make on-time payments, then you're eligible for forgiveness, whatever's left over at that time.
I can retire in a year from now, but knowing that there's this forgiveness plan makes me question every day that what am I going to do?
Time to make some sales. After AES, I went to work for Sundance Vacations, which is my current employer. They pay commission only. So I help the folks that come in there try and find a vacation package that would work for them. When I first started there, I still had the intentions of going forward with law enforcement. I know myself a lot better now to know I don't think I want to risk my life. Right now I live in Northeast Philadelphia, and I just rent a little bedroom. It's $400 a month, and it's the most affordable thing I could do right now. I barely have savings in general. The money I make is the money I use for bills and for living, and I want to start saving. They have the option for a 401k at my job, but I just can't see them taking out anything more, especially since I don't get like a steady paycheck and I don't know what to expect to make every time. I had always thought this far out of college, in 6 years, I would have pictured my life a lot more progressed by now. I would have pictured me with a family, maybe buying a house, definitely at least living on my own and being independent in that way.
How does the debt make you feel?
It makes me feel very sad. And I feel like I'm gonna cry, so we're gonna have to stop. There was a time when she called me on the phone, and at that point she wasn't making it. And she was just crying, and I was crying. I'm outside my office, and I'm hysterical just like this, because this is what it does to me all the time when we really start talking about it. And my head races a million different ways of how can we do that? How can we get rid of this? Like, how?
I feel a ton of pressure that the loans are not just in my name. If they were just in my name, I don't think I would be caring quite as much that they were always on time. So I would never do that to them. I just couldn't do that. I would pay those ones that have their names on it before I pay my own. This is my vision board. This is kind of the main thing that I have on here. You can see it's right in the center because to me it's the most important. You can see they say all the balances are zero. So I just really believe that one day I will have all these loans paid off. When I was backpacking in Central America, I actually took a tour. It was called a booze cruise. Catchy title. And it was just one of the most fun experiences that we had down there. And when I went to Panama, they didn't really have anything like that there. So we have the idea of trying to start a tour company down there. And hopefully it's that idea. And if it's not that, then something else. Other than my friendships and my experience at LaSalle, my degree is not helping me in any way. So for that reason, I don't regret it, but I do regret how I went about paying for it.
Do I think that Jessie's college education has been worth it? $90,000 in debt is a large debt, and she's not working in the field that her college degree prepared her for. It's a very high price to pay.
I feel like I'm being responsible with the loans. I've never been delinquent or defaulted. At this point, I feel like they're never going down. So until I have $90,000, that's when I feel like I'm going to be able to pay it, because these little payments aren't doing anything. So whether I put it on forbearance for a month or two, it's not really affecting, in my mind, that much. I don't feel like I'm a victim because, I did do everything by choice. Nobody forced me to do anything. But I do feel like I was led into this situation kind of blinded. I don't think that, I have a terrible life. I'm not complaining. I'm very blessed. And I know there's a lot of people out there with way worse situations. It's not that everybody should care because, I'm not able to progress in life. It's that it's affecting a whole generation. If I could do it all over again, I would have definitely went to community college first and try to pay my way through, or maybe even, travel first. There's a limited time in life where you're able to just kind of take off with no strings attached and not too many responsibilities. If you do that and come back and you know yourself better, then maybe before you invest $90,000 into something, you'll actually use your degree at the end.
I think what I would tell other parents at this point, they really have to do the research. And looking back at it now, I wish that I educated myself, because nobody's going to put more of their heart and soul in it than you when it's something that you're trying to do for your child.
You're muted again.
It's not, there we go. I kept pressing it, it wouldn't let me. All right, so first of all, what are some just feelings that come up from watching this? Just any kinds of feelings you're having before we talk about solutions? and this could be anxiety, Alan. Yep. It's very, yep, a lot of anxiety about this. And this can be parents too, how you're feeling about this. Stress, he says very stressful. Yep. Anybody else want to share how that made you feel? All right, so very stressful, very anxiety. It's for me, I felt very sad for that family because they went into this very uninformed about what they were doing. So for me, I feel very sad for them that this happened. They ended up in that situation. But the good news is you guys don't have to be Jessie. Her story doesn't have to be your story. And so what are, we talked about some ways you can get help pay for college. What advice would you give if you could go back to Jessie before she made her decision about where to go to college? What advice would you give her? Yeah, Ree, go ahead.
There's some advice my aunt gave me about, because she dealt with student loans. She told me don't use all your deferments at once. Like space them out. If there's like a month that you can't pay it, because it's a common mistake people will do. They put it all their deferments once they graduate.
So are you talking, yeah, so I guess it depends on what kind of loans she took. So deferments are something usually you can do with a federal loan. So maybe she had some private loans, but federal loans, it's called a forbearance. Yeah. And you can only delay so long. They only give you so many months that you can do a forbearance, or maybe that private loan, only so many deferments. I saw something come up in the chat. Let's see. Consider all your options and make smart long-term decisions. Yeah, so you guys hopefully are getting lots of award letters coming in, and that means you have options, right? So definitely. What other advice would you give Jessie? She kind of realized it at the end. She actually
apply for scholarships.
Okay, yes, apply for scholarships. Yeah. She mentions it at the end, like, I wish I had done this. Does anyone catch that? Investments? No, I shouldn't talk about that. Community college, yes. So one of
traveling and
she said you could take a gap year too, which I don't recommend. Oh, awesome, Nate. AmeriCorps, ROTC, military service, yeah, National Guard. Those all have college incentive programs. We can talk about more AmeriCorps, definitely. Government, yes, sticking to just the government loans and the loans offered by the federal government. If you can just stick to those, you're going to be in that under $25,000, right? That is kind of the sweet spot. And we're not saying don't take on student loan debt, because you do need some student loans. It helps you establish credit so that later on you can buy a car by yourself, you can buy a house by yourself. So you want to establish some credit with that, but you just don't want to get in over your head. So thinking about going to community college for a year or two and then transferring to your dream school. The other thing is, again, having options and looking at and several different options financially. And so that's the service that Jane and I are offering to all of you, is to help you sort through. She also wished she had gotten a degree that she actually used. Yes, Kayla. So I think my favorite degree major that you can go into college with is undeclared, undecided, because it helps you sort things out. And I'll tell you just a personal story. That's what my daughter did. And within the first semester of taking classes, she declared. And so she got to take a variety of different things to figure out what she liked. And you don't actually usually need to declare a major until the end of sophomore year. So going undeclared can be a way to figure out what you might want to do before you get there. You guys have also had an opportunity that she didn't have, which were summer internships, and looking at different careers that way. But doing some real career major research before you end up with a degree that you don't like or you don't use yet. I'll also say though too, I have a history degree, and although I'm not doing history in my career, boy, did it prepare me for the work I'm doing, because I learned about research. I learned about organizing my thoughts and writing. And, I write multi-million-dollar grants that bring Upward Bound to Castleton. So although I'm not working in my field, I definitely feel my college degree prepared me for what I'm doing, for sure. Oh, what did I miss? What did Alan say? Yes, dual enrollment, right? Become an RA. Oh, thank you, Nate. Yes, that's a great one. So usually you can't do it your first semester, but usually by spring, colleges and universities might be hiring for residential advisors or Castle Nicholm community advisors. And this is where you are kind of the floor monitor, in a residence hall, that you're making sure people are safe, they're doing the right things. If they have questions, they can go to you. You're also sometimes doing programming, like creating movie nights and things like that. And oftentimes you'll get free room and board or free room, not necessarily food, but free room and a stipend. And that's a great way to save money in college. Thanks, Nate. Yes, I think, is that, Rhea, are you responding to being an RA? Yeah. So that usually you get your room for free, so you only have to pay for your food expense, and you get a little paycheck as well. So that's a great way. Early college, yes, Nate, or Alan and Abby both attended early college, so they saved a whole year of college expenses. So if you have younger brothers and sisters, talk to them about early college. It is a great way to shave a year off of paying for college. Yep, for sure. All right, guys, those are some great tips. So the important thing is to be a smart consumer. Like if you were to walk onto a car lot and you paid sticker price, I would say to you, you are a terrible consumer. Never, ever, ever pay sticker price, and don't do it at college either. Look for ways to pull down that, to knock that payment down, to knock that expense down. Be a smart consumer. Sometimes it's a hard decision because you have this dream college. Jesse talked about, this college was what I thought college was supposed to look like, what it was supposed to feel like. Well, don't be distracted by, your dream college. You can always go to your dream college for graduate school and have them pay for it. And if anyone's interested in graduate school and how you get the college to pay for it, we can help. Upward Bound can still help you with that as well. So getting your 4-year degree in something is the most important thing, for as little money as you can. And then you can always have your dream college later on, for sure. So hard decisions, guys, but again, be smart consumers. And parents, I know you want to do the right thing by your student, but getting yourselves entangled in debt, that you can't handle is not the answer either. So make sure that you schedule appointments with me or Jane over the next couple months here before May 1st, so that we can help you make those decisions. So any questions before we head out, because we are running a little over? Any last, you can put it in the chat. Any other questions or words of wisdom? All right, so how to make an appointment. I think it's on the Google Classroom, right, Jane? There's like a survey.
Yes, we put it on Google Classroom, and some people were having trouble. So if you have to email me, that's fine. And I know some of you are still waiting for those. So we do have time, and we do look forward to meeting with you and talking about this important decision.
Yep. So thank you, families, for being here. Oh, the link to the Survey Monkey isn't working for Alan. So you can always email us, guys, and say, my parents are available Thursday night at this time, and we can check our schedules. Yeah, it was good to see all of you.